There's a lot going on these days over here in LA County. I was out and about and I was just doing my usual day to day. And someone asked me, "Hey, are you going to go to the new boxing gym? We're moving." And I was like, "Oh, awesome. Where are we moving to?" And they were like, "Oh, we're moving to a different part of this is in Orange County." And I said, "Where is it?" And they're telling me about it. And I said, "Oh, I'm from LA County." And she's like, "Oh my gosh, I am so sorry." And that is what's happening right now with all of these fire disasters that are going on in the LA County area. I heard there's up to 7 fires and it just continues to persist and things are just becoming more challenging. So I wanted to offer some inspiration and encouragement in a time of so much loss and trauma. I mean, it truly is loss and trauma. It's a scary thing what's happening right now. And people are asking, what is this going to do to the economy? What is this going to do to the real estate market? How is this going to impact us? And I'm just like, wow, there is so much that this is going to do. Will it help us? Will it hurt us? Will it change us? All the above would be my answer to that. So here we go. Starting with one, we have a huge housing shortage and affordability problem here in LA County. As you all know, we don't have enough homes for sale. We don't have enough homes in general for people to even occupy. We just don't have the space and we do not have the pricing to make it make sense to live in a home. Affordability is through the roof for rental properties and homes alike. And the thing that I keep hearing that's out of our area, out of our state, our listings are piling high. What does that mean? Listings are piling high. It means homes are hitting the market and not selling. And another home lays on top of it, and another home lays on top of that one, and another one on top of that one. And before you know it, we have an abundance of homes for sale, just like 2011. Could you imagine having an overabundance of homes for sale? I'll take you back to 2011. It was 110 houses for sale in San Dimas, California. That included condos, townhouses, everything. That was the entire market. And yes, we had 110. Whereas today in San Dimas, I believe our number is 34 or 37. Sometimes it's around 23. Could you imagine that? Does that help you gain perspective of what the shortage is that we have? Then we layer that with insurance challenges. Okay. I am doing so many transactions right now, and all of them are having challenges with getting insurance in place. None of them are easy homes to sell in the first place. The year built matters, the condition matters, the type of property is. Just because you have insurance today, Mr. Homeowner, doesn't mean your buyer has insurance tomorrow. So, insurance is a huge problem that is just becoming more and more challenging as the time of real estate market since the reality is the last couple of years. And do we think that we're going to have an even greater issue now that these homes, what I hear so far is there's more than 12,000 structures that have been consumed by the wildfires that are raging across LA. And that comes to me straight from Bloomberg News, right? So the insurance challenges are our number one challenge right now. It's impacting the escrows, the sellers that are on the market right now who are trying to make it to close. And it's impacting the homeowners who've lost their homes. And it's impacting the homeowners who still have a home. and it's impacting our future homeowners. Our whole insurance market is just its number one challenge right now. And then we move on to the economic impact of these wildfires. So, I had a great lunch yesterday, a fantastic lunch yesterday with an additional brilliant man. I will just say he was absolutely brilliant. And I'm sure we'll have him on the podcast soon enough. But in the meantime, that was one of the questions I asked him, because the only way I become a smarter business owner and a smarter person in general, a smarter woman in general, is to talk to people who are just much smarter than me. It just makes great sense. So if you're working on how do I become a stronger, better leader, just start surrounding yourself with other stronger leaders, and you'll start just elevating above and beyond where you were. Or as my business coach says, multiplying yourself. So look, the economic impact of these wildfires are going to be so much. We have so many homeowners who are struggling, right? Maybe they didn't have insurance. Maybe, just maybe, they inherited the home that was already paid for and didn't realize they didn't have homeowners and fire insurance. Maybe, just maybe, that was a challenge. That because no one requires you to have it except your mortgage lender. That's who requires you to have insurance. So if you have a loan, yes, you have insurance. If you don't have a loan, you could potentially be without mortgage and fire insurance, earthquake insurance, or whatever insurance you think you need. We're here in LA, so ours are earthquake and mortgage. And then if you're over by the ocean, you might want to have additional insurance, right? Where all of these homes, so many of these homes were. So we have lack of homeowner coverage. We have now an abundance of destruction in homes and displaced families that will now need to find another home. That doesn't help our housing situation. What does help us is the fact that the building permits are going to go through the roof, right? People are going to need building. I mean, I just read right here on Yahoo Finance, it says the U.S. single family housing starts permits rise to a 10-month high. Home building is going to increase. People are going to need permits. And so the government's going to need to keep up with that or loosen restrictions, right? Allow for people to be able to move forward. And so then you think, well, what's the quality of that build? What's going to happen with all of these homes that are going to need to be rebuilt, developed, the land? What is going to happen? There is going to be so many things that will be stimulated to help our economy in so many ways. And there are going to be people who are losing jobs and having challenges with housing. It's just going to be what it is. And so then we have all of these new mandates coming down about price gouging and so forth. Price gouging, what is that? Overcharging people in distress. Overcharging people in distress. That's what happens as stuff starts to get really high demand. It becomes an overcharge, gouging. I believe it happened in our stock market at one point, if I remember correctly. I'd love for you to comment down below on what year that happened. Tell us what your thoughts are on it. I am so very interested. Then we talk about gentrification and displacement, which I touched on earlier, right? People being displaced, not having a home to move into, or having to find temporary housing. This is going to be a major challenge. And that leads us right into the regulatory and the policy responses that I mentioned just a bit ago, which is the government's going to have to keep up with these mandates. The government is going to have to keep doing what is necessary to allow these builders to get busy building. Last night, I was out with another group of people, and this gentleman works at Nichols Lumber and Hardware, and he said a home over in Altadena was being rebuilt, and they had just delivered right before the fires came on, just delivered $21,000 worth of lumber. $21,000 worth of lumber. And you want to know what happened? His house that isn't even finished being built, it's just wood framing. It made it, but that $21,000 worth of lumber was up in flames. So what is going on during this time? What are we looking at? There's so much uncertainty and curiosity about why did this house make it and another house didn't. And I'm just going to share a couple of stories that really touched me, my heart personally, and my clients personally. Moments that matter and offer you some opportunity to think about making sure you take the time to do the due diligence, to do it in such a way that you're safer going forward. We learn in every moment of disarray. We learn in every moment of discouragement. We learn in every moment of failure. Whether it's your personal fault or not, you learn. And so this is what I offer you, right? I was reading on about these homes that withstood the LA fires and the architects who were prepared and built for it and the reason why they withstood. Now remember, over 12,000 structures made it. And that one structure, remember, over 12,000 structures made it. Remember, over 12,000 structures were lost. And there were just a few that made it. Just a few. Why? So why did they make it? Well, according to this article that I'm reading here, it talks about luck was a big factor. Could be luck, right? Could be anything. But it's not luck. It's not only luck, right? This particular home that I'm talking about here, it was, as they mentioned, a house that was personalized for labor of love. A dear friend built it. And when it was still standing, it just was overwhelming. When it was still standing. Can you imagine coming around the corner? Just imagine that. You drive around the corner and there's all these homes just gone. The whole landscape burned up. And then there's one home, one structure that looks to be untouched. Why is that? Well, it could have been some of the fireproofing decisions that were made by the house, right? Made by the homeowner, made by the builder that allowed this property to make it. And why did this property make it? Because this homeowner had been through a house fire already. So he learned. And so the next time when he built his next home, he said, heck no, I'm going to do it better. So I encourage you, as you consider the rebuild of any structure, you take these safety requirements into strong consideration and you follow them. It will make the difference between your house making it through a fire and the other neighbors not. So what did he do? This is what it says. He made some fireproofing decisions, right? He made sure the yard was protected of vegetation. It was fenced off, and cast in place concrete garden walls were put around the property. The landscaping was sparse. Imagine Mediterranean desert style. So he didn't have an abundance of lush greenery. He had a Mediterranean desert style home. When it was announced that he must evacuate and there was a problem, he knew to remove the trash cans and any other loose items from around the house. And he even left, I did not know this, he left his side gates wide open so that a fire could just pass through. So it could just pass through. And that it could continue to spread along the fence and not to his house. The only negative that happened is a neighbor parked right in front of his car, in front of his house. And when he parked right in front of his house, well, that allows for the opportunity of your house to catch on fire. I say to all those buyers who are looking for a home, I'd never looked at the abundance of cars parked on a street as a fire issue, and yet it is. It is. I'd always looked at it as a impacted neighborhood issue. So he took these necessary and helpful moments to protect his home, protect what he's doing. And then he did just a few more other things. Along the side of the house, he put no eaves and he had no overhangs. Interesting. I see tons of houses full of eaves and overhangs that are just termite damaged. What a brilliant idea. He eliminated them, right? That form allows for embers to blow away. The house doesn't have any attic vents to allow sparks to get inside the roof, which is metal. And he added a fire-resistant underlayment. The house, simply said, is front gabled without multiple roof lines, dormers, or other pop-outs, which would create vulnerable intersections for a fire. There was just a few more that you would not see yet made sense. The walls of the house have 1 hour fire rating. The deck was built of Class A wood and was resistant to ignition as concrete or steel. Tempered glass protects the interiors, and the front of the house was built with heat-treated wood shielded from flying sparks and embers, which helped the extruding walls and roof line. All of this, according to Jason, who was part of this, was the practice for cutting a fire. This comes to you from the Bloomberg News, right? This is a part of Kristen Kapp's story, and it really just reminds me and says to me, wow. As an agent moving forward and helping families choose their home and advising sellers, and now I know I'm stepping into a world where I'm going to help people decide how to build a home. I go, what have you done to fireproof your home? I will just share this with you. I personally had one client who lost their home. So sad. He inherited mom's home, lost it, tenants displaced, and now he's in the path of rebuilding. This is just me knowing one person. And I know another client who just bought their home with us 2 years ago. We helped this family sell the home 2 years ago. So, yes, we did what you would say is representation of all parties. We represented the seller, we represented the buyer. The seller of this property had helped her sell other properties. So this was exciting to help them sell this home. They were relocating to Florida. They were going to make this big move. And so we met a year in advance and we discussed what we needed to do to prepare to sell the house at the end of the year. This home was in Altadena. This home was then put on the market. And you know, it's such an interesting transaction because from start to finish, it took a while to find that perfect homeowner, that perfect family member, and the buyer who would cherish this home. Because the sellers, well, these sellers, they just really were praying for the right family to come, praying that the perfect experience would happen. And it was becoming discouraging because it wasn't happening. And we just had this one lovely lady who kept showing up at our open houses. And she just kept showing up and she kept looking, she kept contemplating it. And she'd just come out of a very tough time in her personal life. And she was going to reestablish herself. And she did not want a house with a pool. And guess what? We had a pool. And for whatever reason, this house just was calling her. And she made it her home. We were able to negotiate through the transaction. I was so excited to give her keys on the day of her closing. We personally took very good care of this property because the family had been out of state. They were busy finding their new home, relocating to their new location. I mean, one of my sons was busy taking care of the pool every week. He would go out there and service that pool and make sure it was blue for the new homeowner. I mean, that's just how we help our clients. And so the day I got to give her keys, the new homeowner, I just said, congratulations, it's your new home. And the sellers have been praying diligently for you over this home. They're praying that you have a new, fresh start, that you're excited, and that it provides all the safety and security that it needed to be. And then it caught on fire. The buyer was asked to, well, now homeowner, was asked to evacuate. And she evacuated, just hoping that her home would be there when she came back. And as she came around the corner, her home was one of the few that was still standing. Did the sellers know what was to come? No, of course they didn't. And the sellers were responsible sellers. They did all of these upgrades to the property that just allowed for it to resist such a fire as this. Such a blessing as this. So though all the homes around her are gone and the neighborhood is desolate, her home still stands. That is what faith does for you. And making sure you take the appropriate precautions to keep your family safe. So take that time to make sure your family's safe. Build in a way that should be built. Do the things that are necessary to keep your family safe. Because you just never know what's coming around that corner. You just never know. So you want to make sure you know what you're doing. So I encourage you check out episode 32. We talk about home improvements and DIYs. We talk about so much more on Real Estate with Soul. You could tune into any one of our episodes and it would just make great sense.